Rem, as the general has laid down the daunting gauntlet there of a world we don't understand, will you take us the next step, please?
Well, thank you, John. And I agree with the general's analysis of the complexity and the uncertainty when it comes to current security challenges. But the way I look at it is that one of the major challenges when it comes to global security and global stability is not necessarily whether the rise of China is going to lead to confrontation or whether resource scarcity is going to lead to wars. It isn't necessarily whether fragile states necessitate Western intervention. All these threats, all these challenges are true. But the question for me is there a way in which the West can find a common ground to deal with these issues? And when I look at the United States, for instance, history teaches me that when a superpower is in relative decline, you have the risk of frustration. It's almost a psychological. It's almost a psychological issue, and frustration is, I believe, a real concern when I look at the United States. Is the United States able to cope with this new surrounding of uncertainty, of complexity, but also a world where the United States is no longer peerless, where it is absolutely dominant? And if it isn't able to cope with that by changing its foreign policy and changing its approach to partnerships, then there are two scenarios that I can think of. On the one hand, the United States can turn more inward, become more isolationist, which is not in the European interest at all. The other side is that the United States could become more unilateral as the pendulum swings back again and tries to prove that it still is that formidable force. Now, mind you, this isn't necessarily only an American problem. I think Europeans have a responsibility to manage this process of accustoming the United States to this new security environment as well. And that's, from a European perspective, I think one of the major challenges. Are we able and are we willing to engage the United States in that way? But a frustrated superpower is, regardless whether we talk about the rise of China or poverty in Africa, is, for me, the primary issue of concern.